Shalom uvracha from Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. With the help of Hashem, we are privileged this evening to continue our joint study of Pirkie Avot, of the ethics of the fathers. And this evening we study chapter 2, Mishna 9. Those following in the original text, Perek Bet, Mishna Tet. Tet like Tov. The ninth Mishnah. It's true that in certain editions of the Mishnah, it's a different number, but that's the numbering system that we followed the whole time, and that's the numbering system we're going to follow now as well. That chapter 2, Mishnah 9, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. We are learning, for many weeks in a row, we studied the teachings of Hillel, and now we learn of one of the great disciples of Hillel, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the most outstanding personalities in the entire Talmud. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai is described in several places in our sources as being very well versed in almost every aspect of Torah. For instance, in the Gemara, in Masechet Sukkah, page 28a, it says that Hillel had 80 major students, Shmonim Talmidim Hayulol Hillel Zakein, and then it lists the greatness of each of them, or the categories of each of them. Gadol Shebekulan, the most outstanding of all the students was Yonatan ben Uziel. Katan Shebekulan, and the one who was on the seemingly lowest level of all of them, if I'm translating correctly, is Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Now, if he's on the lowest level, could you imagine, what the people on the other levels were like? And then it says here in the Gemara, I'm reading in Sukkah, Amru Alava Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, they used to report about this great rabbi, Shalohiniach, Mikra, Mishna, Gemara, Halachot, Agadot, Diktukei Torah, Diktukei Sofrim, Kalim, Hamurim, Zerot Shavot, Tikufot, Gematriot, Sichat Malachei Asharet, Sichat Shedim, Sichat Tikalim. Unbelievable. The list just goes on and on. This was the Katan Shebekulan. This was maybe Katan doesn't mean. Does Katan mean the least learned, or does Katan mean the youngest of them? Maybe not necessarily the least. Anyway, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is continuing here the traditions of Hillel. Interestingly enough, the Mishnah records here in Mishnah Tet, Rabban, it's an interesting title, Gadol Meirav Rabbi, Gadol Meirabi Rabban. There's a title Rav, there's a title Rabbi, my rabbi, and there's a title Rabban, our rabbi. Maybe the leading rabbi, the all-encompassing Rav, the Harav Shalanu, Rabban. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, Kibel Mehillel Umishamai. He was able to receive the tradition. He was able to receive the Torah and the Torah instructions, both from Hillel as well as from Shammai. Now that's very interesting, very intriguing, because there are some people who could only listen maybe to one or the other. They are Hillel students, they are Shammai students. Maybe the all-encompassing level of wisdom is to be able to study from Hillel and from Shammai, but both teachers together. The rabbis say that in the school of Hillel, when they would teach their students, they always taught them the position of the school of Shammai as well. It's an amazing way for people to understand something about methodology of teaching. There are many people who would be afraid to include the system of thought or the system of teaching of the other school of thought. The Gemara says, no, Beit Hillel, they always taught the position of Beit Shammai also. And not only did they teach the position of Beit Shammai, but they taught the students the position of Beit Shammai before they even taught their own position. They taught first the position of Beit Shammai, which is rather risky because maybe someone will be so mesmerized, so moved, so enthralled with the position of Beit Shammai that they won't even listen to the position of Beit Hillel. But here's a great teacher from that school of thought, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, continuing the tradition, Kibel mehillel u'mishamai. He received the tradition both from Hillel and from Shammai. He studied under the tutelage of both Hillel and Shammai. The Gemara elsewhere speaks about, is it best to only study from one rabbi or from more than one rabbi? And the Gemara discusses the advantages and disadvantages of both positions, and perhaps comes to some kind of compromise position. Maybe when you need a certain level of decisive tradition, then you have to listen to one, otherwise you'll be completely confused. But maybe to understand analyses of how to study, maybe there's something blessed about learning from more than one rabbi. Should you have only one Rav? Could you go to Hillel and go to Shammai? Could you find Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai Kibel me Hillel umi Shammai? Hu haya omer. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would constantly say, he would constantly teach, Im lamadta Torah harbe. If indeed you studied a great deal of Torah. Now there's a certain danger in studying, a certain spiritual danger in studying a great deal of Torah. We pray that everyone should study Torah. We pray that everyone should study Torah harbe, a great deal of Torah. But there's one aspect which is perhaps spiritually dangerous if someone studies a great deal of Torah. And that is, a person can become, God forbid, arrogant. A person can become so self-assured. A person can start thinking about themselves on advanced levels of, God forbid, haughtiness of some sort. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was a great teacher, as the Rav points out here, he says, he himself knew what it meant to study a great deal of Torah, as we just quoted from the Gemara in Sukkah. He knew what Torah harbe is. And he is teaching, don't get carried away with yourself. Don't be so proud of yourself. Oh, ani lamadati Torah harbe. Maybe lamadati Torah harbe. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. You've accomplished your mission. That's exactly the kind of pursuit you're supposed to be involved in. And there are people, God forbid, in the past, I hope only in a theoretical sense, that if they learn a great deal of Torah, that they can begin to look down upon people who don't learn so much Torah. And they could perhaps be, God forbid, insensitive to the levels of others. There's a story in the Talmud, in Tractate Ta'anit, about a great rabbi. I don't think I'll mention his name. You can just read through Masechet Ta'anit till you find it. A great rabbi who was riding joyfully because he had just accomplished a great deal of learning, and he was leaving the house of his rabbi. He was really so proud of himself, so happy, he was in a jubilant mood because he had just studied a great deal of Torah. It's wonderful to celebrate Torah. We love celebrations of Torah. That's why we celebrate whenever a person finishes a section of Torah. The letters Chumash, if you spell it without a vav at least, are the same letters as Sameach. It's a source of joy. It's a source of simcha. Pikudei Hashem Yisharim Misamechei Leiv. It's supposed to bring joy to your heart. Joy, but be careful with how you express this joy. Says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Im lamadta Torah harbe. If you indeed studied a great deal of Torah, if you've mastered a great deal of Torah, al tachazik tova la'atzmecha. Do not consider this to be such a great accomplishment. Now, you should be proud. You need encouragement. Everyone needs encouragement, but don't start thinking about yourself on such an advanced level as if you've done something way beyond the regular call of duty. Ki l'chach notzarta. Well, that is the purpose of your creation. You were created to study Torah. That's part of the main obligation of every Jewish person, surely every Jewish man, to study Torah. V'hagita bo yomam v'layla, im lo briti yomam v'layla, chukot shamayim v'aretz lo samti. This is the covenantal connection to the world. The world stands on Torah. Of course, you learned a great deal of Torah. You're supposed to learn a great deal of Torah. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai warns us that even though there is a great emphasis, and he studied under two of the greatest rabbis in world history, he knew about the level of advanced study. His teachers were way advanced in learning. Hillel, Shammai, these were the leaders of the entire community, the heads of the community, the head of the Sanhedrin, the assistant head of the Sanhedrin, the Nasi. Nevertheless, al tachzik tova la'atzmecha. If you've ever been privileged to meet people who are very learned in Torah, my personal experience in life has been that so many of these people, if not all of these people, are extremely, extremely humble. Very humble people. Very humble people. You would think they would walk around like, I know this book, I know that book, I know this chapter, I know that, I've read this, I've mastered. Sometimes you're talking to them, you wouldn't even believe that they even know anything, right? Because they're talking in such a delicate, polite, humble fashion. And maybe that's what's demanded. Maybe that's why the person who knew maybe the most Torah ever, the person who taught us the Torah, is the most humble man on earth. Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Va'ish Moshe. Moses is the most humble man on earth. Most humble man on earth. But he could walk around. He had the closest relationship with God. He had the closest relationship with God. He was the most humble. But he knew the entire Torah. Sivalanu Moshe. Moshe taught us. In Lovarata Torah harbe, Al tachazik tova la'atzmecha. The Torah is compared to water. Water flows downstream. It leaves all the high places and it goes to the lower places. Torah is not found by people who consider themselves to be too elevated in their level of accomplishment. The other interpretation that I believe is found in several of the commentaries, and I was privileged to hear this from my father, Zichrono Livracha, many times. The other interpretation that fits right into the words as well. Im lamadta Torah harbe. If you indeed studied a great deal of Torah, share it with others. Al tahazik tova le'atzmecha. Maybe even in learning, a person can, God forbid, it should never happen to anyone. But even learning, theoretically, can be a selfish endeavor. God forbid. I'm not saying it ever is or was or will be, but theoretically. It's all about me. It's all about myself. Self-aggrandizement. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to know everything. I want to amass all the knowledge. Could be. But maybe, I'm sorry? Share it, right? In lamadta Torah harbe. If you indeed study the great deal, al tachzik tova. Tova is Torah. Ki lekach tov natati lachem. Ein tov ela Torah. That's the ultimate good. So tov and tova are references to Torah. In lamadta Torah harbe, al tachazik tova lat. Don't keep it all for yourself. Now, in certain trades, in certain professions, there are professionals who are very, very hesitant to share trade secrets with others, especially with competitors. Because if I share the secret of how I manufacture this product, or how I run my business, so you could run the same business, you could outdo me, or even certain parts of the world of academia, a person is very, very careful about their research. They don't want it to go too public because someone else will do the same research and maybe publish the paper before them. There seems to be an indication here that in Torah, one could perhaps argue that a person who's learned a great deal of Torah feels I always want to be able to have some information that the other person doesn't have, because I want to feel that, I am the teacher and they're the student. I am the advanced student of Lamadat Torah Harbe, and they're only beginning. So should they know as much as me? Should I share all of my Torah with them? And maybe Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, Kil kach nutzarti, you were created for the purpose of sharing. My father said, I think in the name of Rosh Hashanah and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, but I'm not sure, that v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, loving someone else as much as you love yourself. Rabbi Akiva Omer, zeklal gadol bat Torah. Of course, the simple interpretation is, this is the most important rule in Torah, can be understood by poetic license. Zeklal gadol bat Torah, even in learning. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Bat Torah. Not just in the fulfillment of Torah, not just loving someone else, but in Torah study. In Torah study. Share it with others. Share it with others. Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zichrono Livracha, Rav Feinstein had this idea, I think it was his own idea, to at least, if there's 10% of your income, you're supposed to share with poor people. We call it Maaser. So he said, well, maybe a tenth of the time that you study, also at least, you should share with people who are poor in Torah. Poor in Torah. So share it with them. Share it with them. If you're studying a series of hours of Torah study, a series of hours of Torah study, well, maybe you should maybe you should share your time with others. Let's say you're studying 5 hours. Studying 5 hours, right? So how much is a tenth of 5 hours? Half hour? Is that right? You're studying for 5 hours. Okay, so you're allowed to study, but maybe at least a tenth. Give a little maaser to somebody else. Maybe the student doesn't know how to study at all. Maybe study with them. Maybe they're just beginning. Oh, but I don't want to. I don't have time. What do you mean you don't have time?
A lot of rabbis say they learn more from their students.
Correct. That's correct. So it's not even giving up so much, right? Or you can give more than a tenth. In charity, there are different levels. You can give a fifth also. You should study a full hour. There is this notion. I think Henny used to quote this teaching in the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. If, let's say, you know Aleph Bet. That's what you know. You know 2 letters. Aleph Bet. It could be that's a great deal of learning, but many people wouldn't consider that, Torah Harbe. But let's say you know an Aleph and you know a Bet. And you know someone who only knows an Aleph. So you've advanced, right? You know 2 letters, and that other person only knows 1 letter. Maybe you should share the bet with someone else as well. Maybe teach them. You can't be a teacher of advanced studies, but maybe you can be a teacher of bet. You can walk around teaching the whole world bet, all the people only on the Aleph level. Teach them the bet level, and don't worry that it will take away from your level. Don't say you're supposed to do that. Don't keep it to yourself. In the end of Mishna, we read some of us say it every Friday night in the Eshet Chayil. There's a concept of something called Torah Chesed, Al Shonah, the Torah of kindness. So the Gemara asks, what do you mean Torah Chesed? Is there a certain aspect of Torah which is involved with Chesed, and a certain aspect of Torah which has nothing to do with Chesed? Says the Gemara, if you study Torah only for yourself and you don't teach it to anyone, maybe that's Torah that's not so much connected to Chesed. But if you study Torah and you share it with others, that's called Torah Chesed. Im lamata Torah harbe. If indeed you studied a great deal of Torah, there's so many Jews who have such a low level of connection to Torah study. Some of them never studied Torah. So anyone and everyone who has some connection to Torah, he calls it Torah harbe. But maybe even whatever level one is at, may he or she share it with others, because Am Yisrael is desperately in need of the fulfillment of the words of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and through the joint study of Torah, maybe if we all share our Torah with others, the world will be so blessed. All of the Torah, the joint study of Torah will be the ultimate level of redemption and blessing. Somebody want to say something? Yes, okay. Thank you so much for listening. Shalom Avracha.